formal living room in our estate project. So this was a lovely room to design. We've got all of this beautiful ceiling height, and we just wanted to do it justice with the furniture that we put in here. So behind me here, you'll see bespoke consoles. So I did 2 of these, one for either side of the existing fireplace. So we were working with the existing fireplace, the existing floor, and there was some like coving details on the ceiling. Those were here already. So we were layering on, I suppose, the interior finishes to that. So this was challenging to get consoles that felt like substantial enough because the fireplace was so high. So what I did was got these made bespoke. So basically they're a little taller than standard consoles, and I did them quite wide. So they're about 1.8 meters wide. I did a marble on the top, and then the base is antique brass finish. So either side of the console tables, or above the console tables I should say, I needed to get something in, and it's tricky because with the fireplace in the center, you know, I could have done 2 pieces of art either side, but I wanted to have art over the mantelpiece. So what I did was I got these Eglamise mirrors. So they're that smoked antique look, which I love. I got those made in London, and he did a really, really nice job on them. So they're quite antique-y looking, but then this is quite contemporary. Obviously the console is contemporary. And what I did with the mirrors then was I framed them out in marble. So it just frames them, and obviously because these were bespoke, I was able to take in all of that height, which draws your eye up, which I felt was really nice. And then I did these alabaster wall lights. So there's a pair of those, so there's symmetry either side of the fireplace. And those are lovely at night because they give a lovely glow, and it's really nice to draw your eye up to the height in the mirror as well. These bookcases were fun to design. So again, we went with the height because the height is so beautiful in here. I feel like if you were to do a standard size bookcase, it would just get lost in the room because it's going to cut the room off too early. So we wanted to use all of that beautiful height that was here. So some of the details then that we did on the bookcase, just to make it a little more interesting, is we added a brass trim within the shelves, so it just lifts it a little bit and brings a little bit of warmth to it, which I think is visually quite nice. And then at the bottom we did 2-tone, so the body itself is painted in this warm color, and then it's got a recessed detail of a darker timber in here, which I feel kind of contrasts nicely. And then inside you have your dovetailed drawers and a little bit of storage space. The other bookcase at the other side, we added a ladder in, so I'll show you that in a second. But first I'm going to show you all of the pieces of furniture that make up the center of the room. To have a more formal feel to the room, we centralized our furniture. So we did a couple of armchairs here, 2 armchairs here, and then the slightly curved sofa. So because it's all in the center of the room and it's orientated around the fireplace, it gives a little bit more of a formal feel. And there's a few key pieces I absolutely love in this area, so I'll go through some of them. I love the curved sofa, love a curved sofa. I just feel like it's so soft and elegant, and these cushions are really beautiful. They're by a brand called Della Quagna. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, and I didn't butcher their name, but I love this detail of the little bit of brass and leather at the sides. It just really lifts the cushions. They use all really nice natural materials, and I love those just to dress up the sofa. These are super cool. So these are like little cocktail tables, and basically the design is taken from like a lily pad. So it has this lovely kind of organic shape moving around it. and we selected these colors of glass for the room. I feel like they pick up on the color scheme perfectly, and they're just easy to move around if you want to have a drink at any of the tables and want to have your drink right beside you. So those are by a lovely designer called Tom Faulkner, that's over in London, and I think he's in New York as well. He does beautiful furniture. The other thing here is the beautiful rug. So it has a nice abstract pattern running through, and I feel like having this really large area rug in the center really zones the space and pulls all of the seating area together. If any of you are having trouble making a living room feel cozy, rugs are a great way to do it. They really zone the space, and it makes such a perfect conversation area here in the center. Something else I love is these chairs because they have a beautiful back detail to them. So the back of these has a lovely detail. So if you're sitting over here on the sofa, you're not looking at an ugly back pattern to your furniture. And I think if you're doing a centralized scheme, you need to think about how the back of the furniture reads in the room as well. You can have some nicer pieces of furniture that have a nice back detailing on them and some that don't look so great. So definitely you want to think about that back detail if you're looking in at it. The other thing I love here is this coffee table. So you have the marble on top, but the base is really incredible. Again, it's kind of like a woven kind of look in like a hammered brass, and it just feels like such a nice centerpiece for the room. The room is obviously great size and proportion, and I feel like it could take something with some more detailing in the center of the space. Something else I love in this room is these little stools. So these stools we made bespoke, and I think like little stools like this are great by a fire, because if the fire is on, they're great, like easy to sit by, and you can, you know, when the fire is lighting, you can sit here with your drink. And the nice thing about low stools like this being beside a fireplace is visually they don't block off the fireplace at all. So the fireplace still gets to do the talking, but you know, if you're sitting in here in the evening, it's just easy to sit down here and look in at the fire. Or if you've guests with you, they're quite easy to use and move around the space as well, but they also fill a bit of negative space. What I loved about these stools is the detail. So this shape is really beautiful, and we picked these two fabrics, and I just feel like those little details make it a special piece of furniture, especially in such a beautiful room already. Some tub chairs in a beautiful fabric. It's like a velvet with a little pattern, just to mix it up and not have everything too plain. And then over here we have the beautiful bespoke bookcases, and you can see on the top here we have the brass rail, and then the ladder actually hangs on the brass rail. So this is great to get up to the tall areas if you want to change anything, but also it adds a visual bit of interest to the bookcases, which I love. This piece of art is really beautiful. So it's an original piece of art, and it's by the artist Geri Cooke. And when I saw it in auction, I fell in love with it because the rich use of color and how abstract it is. I feel like when there's a beautiful fireplace like this, it needs a statement piece of good original art. Geri Cooke was actually friendly with literary giants in Ireland like Seamus Heaney, so he is quite an interesting past, and I just love his work. What I love about this piece of art is the rich color, and I just feel like it brings the fireplace to life, and the color in here really ties in with the existing fireplace, which is beautiful. Another thing I like here is these little uplighters in brass. So again, when we film in the daytime, it's quite difficult to get the atmosphere that the light creates, but this room at night is beautiful with the uplights. Again, what we wanted to do is highlight this space, make it warm, draw your eye to it, and draw your eye to the height of the room. So these uplights worked really well.